Hello, welcome back to Evil Genius Props. I am Mike, your Evil Genius for today. And what we're doing today is picking up where we left off in our last video, where we were making the puppet of Dynios, the wizard trapped in a book from Critical Role. And where we left off was we had basically put together the skeleton of the puppet. So we had the book framed out, we had the face pretty much done. And what we're going to do next is go ahead and put the skin on and start working on some of the final touches towards, not exactly final touches, putting on some of the next touches towards completing it and move it along. And then we'll come back for one more after that. Everything's glued, dried, declamped, detaped. The next step's really just going to be applying, I think, our cover and see if that'll work. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure if basically, my question is if I need to cut the mouth or not on him. Because without it being attached like that, it's not going to stick. But if we stretch it out and then apply the face, but does the mouth need to be cut so that it can open its mouth? But we'll also figure that out and wrap the edges here with the pleather, glue those down. Maybe hot glue just to start. I don't know, I need to figure out how to best hold that so I can pull it tight to check out the face part. But that's the next thing to figure out. Kind of has eyebrows now. So I think maybe the easiest way to lay this out, not necessarily the best, but maybe the easiest, is let's lay out our fabric. Let's find our edges here. All right. And come over, upper corner. Just tiny clamp that in place. Oh, that didn't work. Try again. Tiny clamp that. And then pull this over. So then roughly right about here is where I'd want to cut that. And that gives me plenty of extra that I can cut along. Now, my scissors aren't down here, so we'll be right back. Back with scissors. I'm actually cutting it kind of close now, but I assume that as I stretch it, as I actually apply it, I'm going to stretch it more so I can cut it kind of close now and still have plenty of come back to that in a minute. Next thing we want to do is on books, they have those sort of ridges along the spine. That's actually how they sew the binding together. So we're going to model that out with some more of the foam clay. And similar thing, we're just going to make some tubes. And you can do these either singly or in pairs. I think we're going to do pairs. I just like that look better. And the nice thing is, because again, it's going to be covered over by our fabric, doesn't need to be perfect. Probably if it needed to be perfect, I wouldn't be using this kind of clay, and I wouldn't be doing it this way. Instead, what I'd probably do is do something that was more extruded, or even actually use twine or something that had a consistent size to it already. I think we'll do 2 up there and then 2 down here. we'll let those dry up. And in the meantime, I will think about our pleather and the best way to get this on there. So quick update on the puppet idea here. And the original idea was to have it so like the book cover was just flat and then the face would pop out, like so you couldn't see it when it wasn't there. Just not sure that's working. So I think what I'm going to try to do instead is maybe attach the material to the puppet face and then put it on, so you can just sort of see the puppet face all the time, but maybe push it out, or even just use it in the book as a puppet. Either way, it's a slight change. What I want to see is if I can attach the material to the puppet's face and sort of still get that look. We want it to actually still look like a face. So I'm gonna play with this a little bit, maybe use some light double stick tape, not the heavy duty stuff, but like the stuff that comes with plastic on your windows or whatever, and just tape that down as a test to see if that works. Because then if it doesn't, this doesn't stick well enough that I have to worry about getting it back off. I'll just sort of pop it right back off. So we'll see if this works and see how well that does. That's not looking great, but let's see what happens if we put it in here, and maybe if we can stretch it out a little bit, because this is a stretch fabric. Probably I won't be able to do the mouth as is. I might have to do that as two separate pieces. Grab some of these small clamps. The tape just isn't holding up to when we stretch. I think I might even just try to cut a sample piece, not redo the whole face, but do like the eyes or something. And see, I might end up doing the face just separately and then attaching it. Do like a front panel with the pleather and then wrap the rest of it. And then I can cover up this joint where the fabric would meet up. I guess you call that a seam. Over here to hide that it's a separate piece from the rest of the book. But I think if I maybe try that and just cover the face a little bit more like a traditional puppet, but leave all the extra around the edges, that might work out. So we'll come back and try that. All right, just a quick status update on where we are with our book puppet here. And the book frame, actually I feel like it's coming out pretty well. We put the pleather over it, and this isn't stretched obviously, but it fits. It looks bookish, and I'm happy with this part. The part that has me worried is the puppet that was initially supposed to sort of just pop straight out of the book, so you wouldn't see it at all, and then would pop out and there's the face. That's giving me some issues. So here's what I think we're going to do instead. I have the materials, if I need to just do the whole puppet part again. Not a problem. So this is sort of, if I were to have, this is just a test to see can I just sort of attach it permanently. And I don't think this is bad. This isn't working by itself though. And what I had done was put just some double stick tape on it in places to try to hold the pleather down and see if it would work. And that's just not holding well enough. So I did a test piece yesterday where I sort of quick carved an eye and attached it to a nose piece and then used contact cement to attach it. And that seems to have worked pretty well. Let's see if we can get there, where you can sort of see some of the shapes coming through, and it holds reasonably well to being stretched. So here's where we are. I'm going to take the basis for our puppet and just contact cement over the face, and take the material that we have cut for the book already and see if I can stick that on there and get it to work. Normally with contact cement, you'd sort of let it dry before you try to stick anything on. We're just going to go ahead while it's wet. That gives me some time to reposition, sort of get things down into the folds, and then see where we are. I figure even if that fails, I will have learned enough to be able to do it again correctly the next time. So what we're going to do is try it with this one. If this just utterly fails, I have the materials, I've got extra foam, I've definitely got plenty of pleather to just redo the whole thing again. And having figured it out once, will go a lot quicker. And honestly, this is the part of prop making and making original props that I enjoy. This is the part that's more fun for me, is the problem solving aspect of it. Figuring out what's going wrong, how do I fix it, how do I get it done? And that maybe is one of the key things that you need to do if you're doing props for a show or for yourself even, is, okay, here's where we've run into the problem, here's how we fix it and keep going. In this case, we're having to roll with the change from the original idea, which may not have been easily possible, if at all, and just keep going to get a produced item that we can use. So that's what we're going to do next, and then we'll see how that turns out. If it works out, great. All I have to do then is attach the pleather to the book and do some stuff along the edges and some decoration on the pleather. That'll be the easy stuff, I hope. So we're going to do this next. I want to be sure to get in to these sort of little crevicey areas in here, because I want to be able to stick material to those to be able to get that little bit of definition from it. All right, now instead of waiting for this to dry, we're going to go for it. So I think what I'm going to try to do here is, there's some areas where there is sort of these little gaps coming in. I might be able to just snip that off, or even slice it as like a relief cut and then glue it down, and it won't be super noticeable. And this is just going to be the initial covering. We are going to probably do some airbrushing over top of this just a little bit to highlight some changes and highlight a few things. But honestly, I'm not hating this. We'll let that dry and see where we come out. All right, so here it is dried and sort of clipped on to the front. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I might see about making some relief cuts in some areas and try to maybe get it down and then close those up and see how we look. I also had a thought that if this doesn't work, maybe the way to go is, instead of making this faceplate curved, just make the whole inset here be flat with the face on that, so then it just pushes up through that. So we'll see about that, but first let's try this. Like I said, we'll try and make a couple relief cuts in here. Okay, this is not near sharp enough. Let me see if I have a sharper replacement blade here somewhere. Well, managed to not get the right size, so it doesn't fit in my handle. Let's see if we can maybe get that with a little bit of super glue just to hold its position. So I think what we're going to do here, and this is going to be another one of those like, well, let's see if this works. Slice open the mouth area, and then what we're going to do is put on the puppet part on the inside, line the mouth with more of the pleather. Okay, I'm actually happy with that. If we sort of roll that over and put a piece on the inside there, this hasn't ripped, which I was concerned about. Haven't worked with pleather very much, so I wasn't sure if that was going to pull it open. I think I can still close it, but also open it. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right, now before I glue this part down, let's do the inside with some more of that pleather. I went ahead and flip this open. We'll go ahead and run a bead of super glue for the top of the mouth, right on the lip here. Nope, not big enough. All right, so that's how it looks now with that. None of this is attached yet permanently, but I like that. All right, let's let that all set up. Then I think what we want to do is we're going to put our glue around the edges and start gluing down the outside. I might do a little bit more work on this part, but we'll see. Okay, so here's where we are with our book puppet, Dynios. And I think I'm happy enough to try that and actually attach that onto our frame here. So I'm gonna take off our clips, keep these handy. And what we're gonna do is put some more contact cement on this part to start with. And just the frame bit right up here, and glue that on. Once that is set up, I will come back over on the underside to get this wraparound with some super glue to cover that up. But for right now, we'll start with just some contact cement along the outside rim here and see where that gets us after that. And like I said, if this is completely just, I'm not happy with it, I have another idea ready to go, and am willing to just sort of chalk this up to learning experience and go again with the new plan. And I'll be happy with that if I can make it work one way or the other. At this point, even if I'm okay with this, I might try the other method just to see if I like it better. You can never have too many creepy book puppets, I say. I was talking with my daughter about this, and just a lot of this build has to do with just sort of how my mind works. In that, I heard the description of this book that would pop out a face and speak, and the reaction of the other players of being creeped out by it and surprised at first just really kind of got me. And what I wanted to do was, okay, how do I make that work? And what do I want out of that? Like, how would I do that if I were asked to? And so I went and just sort of had this idea in my head, and I couldn't, for lack of a better phrase, get it out of my head until actually after I had tried it. I needed to see if it would work. I needed to see if my plan here was viable. If I was, for some reason, asked to make this puppet, make this book as a puppet, I guess, could I do it? Would my idea work? And to a certain extent, the only way for me to figure that out was to do it. So here we are. And I'm trying it out. So far, so good. And my initial idea of making it so that you didn't see him until he popped up, it didn't work, but that's okay. We gotta roll with it. So we'll see how this all works out in the end, but I'm happy with the process so far. And like I said, I mean, it's just problem solving for me. Does this work? Does this not work? So just gonna keep on going with it and see where we end up.